Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for coming this morning. We're still this morning, last little bit of this morning. We're really excited that Laura Lauffer is going to present. Laura works for the Empowering Mountain Food Systems Project, which is a SES project, right?
Yep.
Yes, all right. And so we're really excited. Laura has recently moved out west to run this project, and it's really interesting. We're going to hear about 3 big pivots that communities have made to respond to COVID issues around community food distribution. So we're really excited.
Great. Well, thank you, Susan. Thank you to the North Carolina NACDEP folks for inviting me. I love this group, and I always feel like I'm in community when I listen to these presentations and learn about what's happening nationally with NACDEP. So I appreciate it. So yeah, the title of my session is Community Food Distribution Aggregation Models, a Story of 3 Pivots. And let me tell you about what we're going to do. I'm going to introduce the project, Empowering Mountain Food Systems. I'm going to talk about what a cool definition for pivot is that I think works here very well. I'm going to define aggregation, and I'm going to introduce you to 3 different examples, Yonder, Guadalupe, and Darnell Farms. So first of all, who are we? What's up with Empowering Mountain Food Systems? So we are a 3-year project. We're almost halfway through, and we're focused on expanding opportunities and capacity for food and farming businesses across the southwestern North Carolina region. And so I do this a lot. We're in the pointy part of North Carolina. One of my colleagues in Cherokee County says we're where North Carolina begins. So I love that. We are funded through the Appalachian Regional Commission, North Carolina Cooperative Extension, the Cherokee Preservation Foundation, and this is an initiative of the Center for Environmental Farming Systems. Our focus is really on building farm and food business capacity through business planning and working with many of our partners in the region and the small business centers to help farm and food businesses thrive and to try to help this supply chain regionally do more local production and local procurement. And when COVID hit, Appalachian Regional Commission said, look, you know, if your projects need to make a shift to be more effective, to promote more resiliency, we're open to you changing your budget. And so we convened our advisory board and had some really good conversations about what can we do. You know, we've got significant funding. If we were going to shift our funding during this crisis, what would make the most sense for our food and farming businesses and a resilient food system? And so one of the things we did was we decided to fund regional aggregators to help folks have more abundance and have less of a feeling of scarcity. And so we worked with these 3 examples through that funding mechanism, and they were already on their, they were already thriving and figuring this out. And then we came and said, what can we do to help? So when I was preparing this presentation, I was like, pivot, you know, how do I define pivot? And I really appreciated this definition from Eric Ries. He's a Silicon Valley startup guru around lean business. And the way he defined pivot was, he said it was sometimes used incorrectly as a synonym for change, but a pivot is a special kind of change, and it's designed to test a new fundamental hypothesis about a product, business model, and engine of growth. And that's really what we found here. Each of these 3 businesses meet this definition of pivot. They are testing new fundamental hypotheses about their business model. And so what was that hypothesis? What are they working with? And so part of what they were working with was this idea of scarcity. You know, food shelves were empty, especially around meat and toilet paper and dairy. And so what they knew was that consumers want access to safe, abundant food, that local is good And, what can we do in our region to work with our existing farmers? How can we aggregate, deliver, and serve while keeping their staff safe? And so there were three kind of groups that they were working on in this pivot. One was helping to keep their staff employed. One was the farmers that they had been procuring from for years. And the third, of course, is the consuming public. So Wall Street Journal had this good story last week, and I appreciated this graphic. So it starts in March and it goes through August, this top line being 100%, where we were, and how the availability of products went down and up and down and up and down and up. And so frozen fruits and vegetables were at about 87% when the story was done last week. Canned vegetables, took a big decline, and we're working our way up here. But again, this is part of that scarcity idea, and these local producers, these local businesses knew, because they had these established relationships with these farmers and processors, that they could be part of the solution. So defining aggregation, this is actually a food hub graphic, and I took out the word food hub here because we're really not talking about food hubs, but I liked it because the diversity of the products shown here. Each of these vendors that I'm going to share with you are doing this. They're not just doing meat. They're not just doing, tomatoes. They are reaching far and wide. They are procuring in the region, in Region A in our 7 counties, but they're also going outside the region when need be. And I'll talk about that a little bit more, but each of them are procuring eggs, dairy, meat, poultry, beans and grains, fruits and vegetables, and they're distributing it. Some of them are distributing to workplaces, not so much schools, and they are acting as grocers, really. So our first pivot is Yonder Farmers Market. This is a new logo they developed, literally overnight. This is just such a unique, all 3 of these businesses really literally did this overnight. I think both Yonder and another example said they stayed up all night and set up their square grocery store when this went down, when we got shut down. And so their website is eatrealfoodinc.com. This is Hannah and Alan Edwards. Their restaurant was based in Franklin. It was in a strip mall, and this was their counter. And overnight, they shut down and they turned this space into an aggregation center. And this is their grocery aisle. So they are procuring from all over the region, and they bring these products in, and folks go online to order. I encourage you to go to that website and check out their order forms. Really unique stuff from the region. So I have a couple of examples of what they're sourcing. Oops, sorry. So like marmalade, chai, tea, concentrate. This is local whole chicken. Western North Carolina is famous for our trout. So this is a sunburst trout. You can order it head on, or you can order fillets. You can order bread, milk, dairy, beautiful produce. And they're doing, a fantastic job if you go to their website with really beautiful pictures of produce. And they are very, they have a curated market for sure. Their quality control, I'd ask them, are you sourcing from this vendor? Are you sourcing from that vendor? And they really do go through a quality control process. And if they're not happy with it, if their customers aren't happy with it, they make a change very quickly. So that is Yonder. So the next steps for Yonder, they are opening another farm-to-table restaurant. They have a new building, a new property. They will continue online sales. They're going to expand their grocery store. We're working with them to offer SNAP and EBT in the Double Up Bucks program. And this experience has let them know that there isn't really a Southwestern North Carolina distributor for these types of products. They are driving to Asheville to get some unique products. And so they want to bring more, once they get their storefront back, more to distribute. They see themselves distributing to restaurants, resorts, and grocers. They're looking forward to hiring more staff. Right now, it's just Alan and Hannah. They had a staff of 6. And so they're looking forward to growing. So before I move on, I can't see the chat. Are there any questions specifically about Yonder? Okay.
Nothing in the chat right now.
Okay. So our next pivot is Guadalupe. I think I saw Rob Hawk on here. Rob, like me, loves to eat at Guadalupe probably every week, if not more. They're located in downtown Silva. And you can see here that they've got their sign, carry out only, and shop it at the Guad. And you can see this little cone here. This is really literally downtown Main Street in Silva, and they have these places blocked off where you can come and pick up for delivery. And so Jen, the owner, has been cultivating these relationships with farmers for the past 10 years. And when COVID came, those farmers' production did not slow down. And so again, she's the one that really emphasized this staff piece to me, that she wanted to keep her staff employed, but she did not want to expose them to COVID to take home to their families. And so overnight, when the shutdown happened, they said, well, we'll do takeout. And we have all this extra, we know takeout is going to reduce our sales, but we still have all this produce and all this product. So let's try to move it for the farmers. And so that's what's been happening. And so this is when you walk into the store to pay for your takeout. You can pay for your takeout online and just come and pick it up and they'll deliver it. Or you can, walk in and do a little grocery shopping. And so this idea of scarcity also goes to, how many folks are feeling around COVID and still are, of your shopping experience. I don't want to go to a large grocery store. I don't want to be exposed. So if you go and you pick up your great meal for your family, one-stop shopping, I can pick up eggs, I can get coffee, I can get trout, I can get cheese, I can get bagels for the kids. They've even got wine and beer and kombucha. So so this has been their pivot. And in phase 2, when phase 2 happened, I went in and tables weren't set up, and I was like, what's going on? What's the plan? And they're like, we are more worried in phase 2 than we were even in phase 1, because we are a tourist town and there's no telling what could be coming in there. So they decided that even in phase 2 that they would have no dining at all, not even do the 25%, not do the 50%, just to maintain staff health and client health. And so this is how they work. It's really great. This is Jen, the owner. And so this is our Silva Farmers Market. She goes to the market every Saturday and buys local produce. And she talks to many of the vendors ahead of time. What are you going to have? Bring extra sausage. I need 2 whole butts. And, and they'll use that to cook all week. So they're currently sourcing from 20 different farmers and food artisans. And again, this is Keela Worley. From Worley Farms, and this is our wonderful downtown Silva. And so she's coming, and this is Chef Perry. And yeah, so this is how they're working it now in their pivot. So the next steps at Guadalupe, they're adding a large walk-in cooler. We're able to help them fund that. It's a really tight space, but they've identified something they can do downstairs to add a walk-in cooler. With that cooler, they'll be able to expand the grocery to have extra storage options and maybe even get milk in, or just a larger variety of products. And they have no idea, but they do not anticipate reopening for seated dining. Okay, so that's it for Guadalupe. Are there any questions about Guadalupe? Okay. So my last pivot is Darnell Farms. Darnell Farms is located in Bryson City, right on the river, really wonderful destination. Again, I encourage you to check out their Facebook page and their website. When I started working in this region a couple of years ago, I met Afton Darnell, and she did a social media presentation, and they're just, they're such a vibrant family, and they'll go out into the tomato field and cut a tomato and put it on the Wonder bread with the Hellman, probably Duke's mayonnaise, and make a sandwich and say, come on out to the farm. And it's just a real destination on the river with live music and playgrounds and picnics. And so this was a huge shock for them in March when they had to shut down. And this is a picture of their farm stand. And so the pivot, they made a couple of different pivots. One is that instead of people coming, you can kind of see the swing set over here. Instead of folks coming, just driving in and parking, you can drive through. So you drive through, you come up and you drive through, somebody's there to take your order. I need a pound of tomatoes and, a basket of peaches. And then, you go on your way. And that's the only way that they were selling produce. And then they bought a couple vans. You can see the vans here on the other side of the fruit stand. And they are now serving over 150 families with home delivery. And so they purchased these vans overnight. And this is their message on their homepage. The farm is temporarily closed for tourism. We're doing deliveries and drive-through pickup only in an effort to keep everyone safe. Only employees are allowed in the fruit stand. Please remain in your vehicle upon arrival. And they can't wait for things to be normal and safe. So, and this right here is a small business, and they're selling popcorn and pork skins. Really good stuff. All right, so this is their new delivery plan. I mean, they are much more of a grocery. I mean, you can see their menu here of all the things that you can order, from canning jars to local grapes to cool spices that are locally made in the region. And these are the areas they're delivering to. I mean, this is a pretty large area in our region. And so they've got these 3 vans out here. And again, you can see the fruit stand. But so where Yonder has a pickup where you do your online order, you have to go pick it up from Yonder. Whereas Darnell, they're charging $5, only $5 to bring this to your door.
We have a question, Laura?
Yeah.
Hannah is asking, how are Darnell, I'm assuming, handling SNAP EBT for online orders?
I don't know, but I know they're doing it. And they are, one of the things that I had here for next steps is that they are going to be adding WIC. But I can find out, Hannah, I can find out for you and let you know how they're doing that. Okay. So the next steps at Darnell's Farms, they're expanding cooler space. Again, we were able to help them with some funding to add more coolers because they have so much more produce coming in. When I asked Afton about how many farmers she's sourcing from 12 to 15 local farmers. And she said that really hasn't changed much, but what has changed is the diversity of what she's getting from them. So whereas they had restaurant outlets before, and now those outlets are gone. And so she is sourcing a more unique batch of products that she may have done before. They are now, instead of, just the click, 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 click on my grocery, now they're starting a CSA option. And she's so innovative. She's offering keto, paleo, and vegetarian options. They'll continue the online grocery delivery. And they're also distributing cases for regional farmers to wholesale markets in a multi-state region. And so Afton was telling me that, you know, a farmer will call and say, you know, I've got an abundant X, Y, and Z, can you move it for me? And she's doing that as well. So she seems like to me like she's doing the work of three people. And they're looking, she told me that one of the things that they're going to do is they're going to be adding WIC benefits as well. So again, another fantastic community partner, you know, bringing in all of those things that we were talking about. And when I interviewed her for another project, you know, I was like, what drives you? And she said, what drove her were the children of her staff. And she's like, you know, we've got 13 babies that everybody needs to feed. And we want to keep this business thriving for those families. So again, it's like Guadalupe said, you know, it's about my staff, it's about the farmers I work with, and it's about our consumers. So stay in touch, learn more. So I tried to put links in here. I'm not sure if this worked. This is a Canva. It's a little bit harder for me, but you know, if you're ever in town, come through and you do this drive-through at Darnell Farms. These Dream Whips are amazing. They have, you know, chunks of fruit in them, and it's really good. You can drive through and go park and sit next to the river and enjoy their fruit and vegetables and a wonderful Dream Whip. It's such a wonderful product. So so Darnell Farms, Yonder, Guadalupe, and a link to Empowering Mountain Food Systems. I'd love to talk to you more about any of these pivots, and I'd love to hear about, you know, what's happening in your communities too. So here's my contact information. Again, really happy to be here and to share these unique stories with you guys. So that's all for me.
Great, Laura, and you can just email your slides and I'll post them and people can check out those links.
Okay, great.
Awesome.
Oh, I see Rob is here. Rob, do you want to share any of your experiences with any of these businesses? I know that you know Darnell and Guadalupe really well.
Yeah, and Katie Ashley, our new horticulture agents, working closely with Darnell's as well as others. But yeah, Guadalupe, they've been at it for a good while. They're one of the mainstay restaurants in Silva, and they have really supported the local farmers. And you're right, they shifted pretty quick. That's the amazing thing about what I gathered from this. And then Darnell's, they've always been wholesale. I mean, years past, they grew 150 acres of tomatoes back even in the 80s and 90s, shipped those as far as New York. They're into strawberries wholesale, also pick your own. They ship those all over the Southeast. And they've done corn mazes. They've done all kinds of things with they're a true agritourism wholesale. They're a holistic farm, and if you ever get a chance to meet the Darnells, that's an experience in itself. So make sure you come out to Swain County and go to Darnell Farms, and you won't regret it. So.
Yeah, in the meantime, check out their Facebook page, though. They post videos very often, and they're just really good at promoting their farm and what they're doing.
Thank you, Laura. Should probably all leave so we can open up the next session now.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you guys. Thanks again.
Bye. Thanks so much.
Bye.